Hey there, you're listening to the Not So Breakfast Show with Sasha and Ish. Alright, welcome to the Not So Breakfast Show, and you're listening to the one about debriefing 2021. I'm pretty sure there was some good stuff in there. It wasn't all bad, was it?
What were some of the funniest moments you've had in the last year? Moments where you were like, this is joyful, you've wet your pants laughing. Can you think of any of those?
Have you got one? But anyway, whether it's 21, 22, 23, whatever the year, it's always good to reflect back, look on what was great, what wasn't, and set some goals for the year ahead. So that's the podcast. Let's get it. Alright, welcome to the Not So Breakfast Show today, and this is the one about debriefing 2021. Hell of a year that has been, not just 2021, but whenever you're listening to this, debriefing the year that was and looking to the year ahead. It's a little bit around, self-analysis, a little bit around planning and goal setting, because I think it's important to have a focus and a desire and a drive as you move into a new year. And Sasha, you're with me today, which is surprising because you had a late night last night.
I did have a really late night. I went with two of our kids to the premiere, the midnight screening of the new Spidey movie, the new Spider-Man movie. And it was amazing, but it finished at about 2:45 this morning. And we all sort of sifted off home and said, whoa, let's see how we feel in the morning. But I feel great, so.
That's hardcore, man. And no spoilers, obviously, but did you like it?
Oh, yeah, it was so cool. And going to watch it with a bunch of fans is amazing too, because as each new character is revealed or you see somebody come from somewhere else in the Marvel universe, the whole theatre started clapping and going, yay, and woo. And I was like, oh, we're at a fan convention. This is fun.
Did anybody dress up?
There were a few people dressed up. My girl was in her new Spider-Man shirt.
Very cool. Well, you have been nailing it this year because that was one of your goals, was to find a way to connect more with me.
Was it?
Go on.
Yeah, sure it was.
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
Tick that one off.
Yes,
now we've got something
excellent.
we can talk about once I get to finally see it. So we are kind of talking about debriefing the year and goals and stuff. And last year we did a specific session on goal setting. So we are going to revisit some of the concepts around that, because it's been a year and it's something you should really talk about or do often. You know, people that are successful often set goals, and those goals have a structure to them. But also reflecting back on where you are right now. Was it a good year? Was it a bad year? What was good about it? What was bad about it? We don't want to just write a year off because it was 2021 and it was a year that was worse than 2020 with COVID. Like, what specifically about it was great or other?
What I love about what you're saying is the challenge that I say to myself is the way I'm characterizing things true? So it's really possible to go, this year was a write-off, to your point, right?
Yeah.
But that's just not true. There were moments of joy and moments of love and special connections that were made through the year. There was some career success. There would have been some career disappointments for people. There will have been moments that we wished we'd handled differently, and with hindsight we can handle better. But I think the year to kind of write a year off is kind of over the top. It's a little bit dramatic. And that's not to say that we don't come to the end of a calendar year and often feel exhausted. And that's legitimate. It's completely okay to check in and go, I am done. I've had enough. But by asking yourself a series of questions along, what was the highlight? Or what were some of the highlights? Where were some of the places that you have been? And I know people in lockdown will be, well, I went from my bedroom to the kitchen. Yeah, good. Okay, so what did you learn about yourself from that particular process? So asking multi-layered questions, I think, is a more useful way to review and also to project forward rather than just a blanket kind of blah.
Yeah, and while it's fresh in your mind, right? Because sometimes I think we look back on things and as we get more distance from them, we do look back on them as the good old days. The 80s, for example, were amazing. However, we know that there were pockets of the 80s that weren't amazing. So why do you think it is that the further we get away, the more we look back on, I don't know, maybe the more positive, or we can't recall quite the feelings that were going on at the time?
Well, there's some evolutionary theory in terms of how our brains work that says, the further we get from a bad event, the more inclined we are to be able to deal with it by minimizing it. So you can think of something that's really scary has happened to you, and it's really hard to remember the fear that you felt in a really visceral way. So over time, you end up going, yeah, I was up that top of that really high mountain looking out, and it was beautiful. Whereas in the present moment of being up the top of that mountain, you could be, this is beautiful, but I'm really scared right now. And we tend to minimize that the further away that we get from it. And that's good. That's like a self-protection mechanism. We've talked before about no one would ever give birth twice if there wasn't some way of the body recovering, our memories recovering from that experience. And some people never do.
Yeah.
And fair play to them.
Yeah. And do you think we'll look back on the COVID years and there will be some things that we go, oh, actually, I remember quite enjoying the first bit of lockdown. Or I remember quite enjoying spending some extra time with my family, or it's time with my kids that I didn't have before.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think part of that review process is really useful to be able to say, what were some of the things that I wouldn't have otherwise learnt, either about myself or about others, or what are the opportunities that have been presented to me. And this is not just to sugarcoat things. It's not just to say, oh, every cloud has a silver lining. It is to say, where is the little bit of sparkle in the grey? Where is the little bit of light, either at the end of the tunnel or in the tunnel itself?
So as part of the reflection, it's quite good to have a process to it. So you might list down some things like, what is your relationship like with yourself? How are you feeling about yourself right now? And you might give that a rating of 1 to 5, 1 to 10, whatever it is that you want to do, a color mechanism. Your connections and your relationships, are there any key relationships that you have, and how would you rate those, or just your relationships in general? Your career, like, where are you at with your career right now? Are you feeling the same as you were 12 months ago? On a scale of 1 to 5, 1 sucks, 5 nailing life. Where do you actually sit? And then maybe even unpack that. Why? Well, why is it a 3? Well, I'm kind of in the middle, but why are you in the middle? Like, what is it about your career that is putting you just at that apathy or that 3 level? So just unpacking these in categories. Finances might be another one. Your time and your time management. And turning up to meetings on time. No,
Shut up again.
All of that stuff. But it is really good just to categorize things up, chunk them up. So where am I at with my current state? Why am I like this, or why do I feel this way? Not just give it a rating. And then what would I like it to be? So if it is a 1, do you want it to be a 5? Or do you not even care that it's a 1? It's just the way that it is. And start to unpack that thinking, because within that process, it will be helpful for you to actually set goals, not just, well, I need a finance goal or I need a relationship goal. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're like us. You don't need any more friends.
Also, for me, it's about the big key question. So what are you going to do about that?
Nice.
What are you going to do about it? Do you care enough about it? I'm going to look at my wardrobe again and go, oh, I wish this was tidier. Do you? Are you actually going to do anything about that ever? Or are you just going to keep looking at it and going, I wish it was tidier? Yeah.
You wish it was tidier, but you want someone to come in. You want the home edit to come in and just do it.
What a waste of a wish.
You get your 3 wishes, and your first one is, can you tidy my wardrobe? No. Let's go bigger.
Yeah, tidy my house. Okay, so Ash, I've got some questions for you. And partly because I know the answer for myself, I'm going to ask you first. Can you think about what were some of the funniest moments you've had in the last year? Moments where you were like, this is joyful, you've wet your pants laughing. Can you think of any of those?
Have you got one? Okay.
Okay, so while you are thinking about that, while you are trying to find a single thing that was enjoyable for you in 2021, two immediate things spring to my mind. One of the funniest ones was, and you can just cut this out if I've told the story already, was my biggest miscommunication of 2021. And when I was in Boston, we went kayaking on the Charles River. And for whatever reason, you could get singles or double kayaks. And I ended up in a double kayak with Faraz. Now, Faraz is a guy from Saudi Arabia. Amazing to meet him and hear about his life in Saudi. So different to what we experience here in New Zealand. And I was at the front of the boat. He was at the back of the boat. And we head off down this little kind of channel, a canal almost, if you will. And as we're sort of pulling out, it's not yet beautiful, because we're about to open up into the river, but it's pretty. And from the back, Farah says to me, okay, now we can sing. Now we can sing. And I'm like, well, this is great. I love singing. So I start singing, but I realize that Faraz can't hear me because I'm facing forward. So then I turn around towards him a bit more and I'm still singing and he's going, we have to sing. And I'm like, I am singing. Can't you hear me singing? Perhaps you want a different song or something. So then this goes on for a little while. We're out in the Charles now. There's yachts around us. There's ferries. There's the city on one side and some beautiful parks on the other. It's absolutely gorgeous. But we're not really getting it together in our boat. We're not really going together well. We're not making great progress. The single boats are overtaking us. Faraz is complaining because I keep getting him wet. He said, you are paddling at the wrong time. You're getting me wet. I'm like, buddy, we're kayaking. He says, we have to sing. I'm like, what's he on about, the singing? I said, Faraz, what do you mean sing? He said, synchronize. We need to synchronize our paddling. So I'm like, oh. So right from about 20 minutes earlier, he was saying we have to sync. But I just... So he's going, why is she singing to me when I just want us to paddle at the same time?
Meanwhile, you're on the third song from My Fair Lady.
That's exactly right. So at the time, I couldn't even explain it to him because it was too hard to communicate. But that has just struck with me as kind of, A, it was really funny, but B, what a metaphor when people are just at cross purposes and how often our kind of communication difficulties or challenges come about because people are just, they do not realise they're talking about different things.
Okay, one of my funniest moments, and it could have ended in disaster, but it was hilarious, was Emma just got her driver's license, like her learner's driver's license, which Portia's just got her full, hasn't she?
Well, she's got her restricted, she can now drive, by herself.
Okay, cool. So anyway, so it was the very first driving lesson, and I said to Emma, look, we'll go to the subdivision that's being built. So roads, but no houses, no cars. So it's really cool. So I jump out of the car, she jumps in, and we take off and we come up. And we've literally gone maybe, 20 meters to the first roundabout. And she needs to go to the right. And I said, okay, so indicator on. And she comes up, she stops, she looks, and then she turns right. But she doesn't actually go around the roundabout. She goes like right, like the wrong way on the roundabout. And I went, what are you doing? She goes, I'm going right. That was the quickest way. I'm like, babe, you have literally just done the exam for this, like the test. This was one of the questions. She goes, yeah, but I didn't learn what the rules were. I just learned what the answers were for the questions. And so I was like, okay, right. From now on, when it comes to the roundabout, you go around the roundabout. Hence the name, roundabout.
And the side of the road that we drive on, we go to the left.
Yeah, we go clockwise. That's right.
Clockwise. Well, she was like, you know what? I'm just going to pretend I'm in Paris and I'm going to go anti-clockwise.
That's exactly it. Actually, have you ever been to the roundabout in Paris, Champs-Élysées?
I thought you meant the roundabout. I'm like, they've got more than one, you know.
Yeah, but
yes, I have, and I would never drive on it.
Isn't there an accident like every 8 minutes?
Did you drive on it?
Oh, no, but our Kentucky driver did. And he just went, He goes, every time I freak out, and he's like talking to everybody, and he just starts speeding up. He goes, the best way I've found to do it is just to accelerate in, and everybody will stop around you. And you just keep looping around and round and round until you can get off, right? It's crazy.
So travel, we haven't travelled much in 2021.
No.
Where did you go that you remember?
Well, last trip.
No, where did you go? No, where did you go in 2021 that you remember and you go, hey, that was cool. I did get to travel.
I got to do some travel with work, and that was just around New Zealand. And
well, that's great. New Zealand, as far as I'm aware, is a beautiful country that lots of people want to visit.
Beautiful country. And so, but we did all the main centres. So we did Christchurch. Actually, we didn't do all the main centres because we never got to Wellington because we went into another lockdown. But we did like Dunedin, and we did Christchurch, and I've really talked it up with the main centres. What we did is Dunedin and Christchurch in the South Island. But we did get to stay at some really cool places. Right. And I just remember it was such a weird feeling actually being on a plane and travelling again. And now, after, a really long lockdown, I just haven't travelled in so long. It is going to feel weird getting back on a plane. And
yeah.
But
it's great. Well, I don't know if you know, I got on a plane last week.
Yeah.
And sat down, and the person who sat down next to me is the new leader of the opposition, the main opposition party in New Zealand. So I've got a selfie with him. Because if he does become the Prime Minister, whoa, famous me, selfie with the Prime Minister. Yay.
You can claim some of the fame of him becoming Prime Minister because he sat next to you.
Inevitably, what I said will have helped him.
Yeah, absolutely. I did put in the comments, did you talk about our podcast? But you didn't respond to that.
Baby steps, playing the long game. So what about experiences? Did you have any cool experiences with people that you might not otherwise have had, or things that you did that you go, cool?
Yeah, I did some cool speaking engagements online for maybe some businesses I would not normally have connected with.
So I reckon what all of us have grown this year, whether we've wanted to or not, is actually our capacity to cope with change. Even though people are feeling incredibly stressed and worn out, in lots of respects, we're just building muscle. We're building agility muscle that says, let go of the stuff you can't control, go with the stuff you can, understand that nothing is constant, and it's actually always been so. It's just that different organisations have changed at different speeds. Now we're all going quickly on stuff, and whether you think that's good or bad, I think we're getting better at dealing with it.
Yeah, definitely. So maybe if people are starting to think about setting some goals again, could you refresh our memory on what a goal-setting formula or structure might be?
We'll be right back.
If there was one skill that could double your income, advance your career, and increase your ability to influence, it is the skill of presenting. Whether it's on stage, in the boardroom, or at a job interview, the 30-minute presenter program will help take you to the next level. So check out our Instagram page, click the link in the bio, and get started on the 30-minute presenter program.
Well, there's lots of different approaches, right? And I'm less about goals and more about focus. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying what I tend to do when I set goals and I go through a goal setting process, I end up setting too many. And that's a really regular and repeated error that I've made throughout my life. And in coaching others, I understand that they do this too. So we go,
So goal number one?
Less goals. Less goals, right? So you go, I need a finance goal, I need a fitness goal, I need a relationship goal, I need a blah, right? And it just becomes impossible. So really useful to have a word that kind of unifies a theme for what it is that you're looking to do, but also to have a focus and say that at this particular time, my energy is going to X. Now, that doesn't mean you drop everything else, and that's why if you can have some habits that set you up for success, then those things no longer have to be a goal. So if you think about it, the goals that you do set, it can be really useful to set goals that help you create habits that then just become a part of what you do and who you are. But before you even get to that, rather than have a multiplicity of goals, just say, what's my focus? What do I most need to put my energy into? Then when you are actually going to set a goal, yes, you need to do the things like have it be measurable. How will you know if you're achieving it or not? Let there be little wins along the way so that you can be rewarded and get that kind of buzz of, yes, I'm making some progress towards this. So I'll give you a really simple example. I'm cleaning out a bunch of kitchen drawers at the moment, but I don't say, today I'm going to clean all the kitchen drawers. It's way too big. Yeah. I'm just going, you know what, this week I'm going to do 2 of the drawers. So I break it down into bite-sized chunks, and by a month, I'm probably going to be through the kitchen drawers, and that's great. We have fireworks. The last drawer that I opened had fireworks in it. And I'm really excited about that because we're going to have sparklers on Christmas Day.
Well, I tell you what, though, you want to make sure that you have got enough momentum with your drawers that the first one's now not messy again by the time you get to the last one, and you end up in the endless drawer loop.
I just feel personally attacked by how you can obviously see into my kitchen at the moment. You know, the main thing I need in order to achieve my goals, and I say this with the deepest love and respect, is I just need to live alone. Not everyone in my family is on the same page about this kind of clean-up process we're in.
Imagine how just tidy your drawers would be.
100%. Nobody in my drawers if I lived alone.
I like what you're saying, though, about that measurable thing, because I think sometimes we might set a goal, but it's too big. So let's say it's a finance goal, and it might just be, I want to earn some more money. But when would you know that you've achieved it? Because you could earn another $10 and you've earned some more money. So what is it specifically that you want to earn, and why? Like, I think it needs a why. It needs a drive. Otherwise, it's just a tick list.
Yeah, and also let's just unpack that for a second, because this is a good idea to look at the nature of goal setting. If what you want is to earn more money, let's use that as the example. It's really easy to go, I need to earn more money, so I need to increase my income. What most people mean is, I want more money left over. So the most simple thing that you can control actually is your spending, not your earning. Because most of us are in jobs. We go to the boss and we go, I've got this goal where I want to earn some more money. So could you just give me some more money? And if the boss goes, no, then what do? Sure, you're going to answer it because of the type of person you are. You're going to say, well, I'm going to get a side hustle. I'm going to sell some stuff. And I'm not saying that's out of reach of everybody, because I don't think it is. But I also think the reality of people's busyness is the single biggest way they can increase their income is to get a pay rise or move jobs. If that's not happening in the COVID environment, you go, well, what can I do? Don't focus on the top line. Work out, can you spend less so that you have more money for the things that you actually want? Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. It absolutely does.
What's the fastest way to achieve your goal?
Yeah, and that is the same if it's something that you want to buy. Let's say you want to get a thing. Well, you can either try and earn more money to get that thing, or you can try to alter the way that you're spending and apply it to saving for that thing. So
yes.
Yeah, so sometimes just revisiting the way that you have been attempting to get financial goals is a really important thing, which is kind of what you're saying there.
And totally just become Buddhist, because if you read a Buddhist book, it's about you don't need to own stuff.
Yeah.
Material possessions are not going to bring you the happiness that you want. Life is suffering. Just get a new life religion. That'll solve your financial crisis.
It is easier to read those books though on an iPhone 13.
Well, it's much easier when I read them when I'm by my pool as well. It kind of feels to me as like we're saying, get some goals, make sure you can measure them, not too many, the right ones. Don't beat yourself up, but also don't let yourself off the hook.
I think that just sums it up right there. So we're recording this. It's obviously coming up to Christmas for us, but you might not be listening to it in that order. But do you do any like Christmas rituals or things that you do with your family around Christmas that make it feel Christmassy?
For me, yes. Do I think they care? No.
What sort of things do you do, Sarge?
Out comes the Christmas tree. Yeah.
I love the Christmas tree. I honestly do.
We've got a heap of decorations and things that we do. I always learn some Christmas carols on the piano, and as I get older, they just get harder. My brain doesn't work as well. So I was banging away on the piano the other night, and both my kids that live in the house, Geordie's lives outside of the house at the moment, I went to their bedrooms. I go, Porsche, can you please just come and play the right hand for me so I can play the left? She's like, no. So I go into Tiger's room. Tiger, can you please just come and play one hand for me so I can play the other hand? No.
Aww.
So if you've got young kids, don't bother paying for their music lessons because they will not necessarily get off their devices to come and play the piano with you at Christmas time. But I always try and do a couple of Christmas duets and some Christmas music and sing along at Christmas time.
Oh, nice. Do you do the Christmas movies?
Yeah, we've watched a whole lot of Christmas movies. That's mainly me and Porsche do that together, and that's great fun. Seen them all.
Yeah.
There's a great one at the moment, Single All the Way.
Oh, okay.
So
I haven't seen that.
It's a beautiful gay Christmas romance, and honestly, there are 3 male leads. They are all hot. They're all really earnest and lovely, and
Awesome.
it's perfect.
I watched 8-Bit Christmas. That's a new one as well on Netflix.
Oh,
It's kind of, I think
it's like 8 Mile.
Yeah, it's exactly that with tinsel. No, it's he wants to get a Nintendo, so it's kind of set back in the 80s, but he's telling it from obviously present time. But I think it's a remake of like a Christmas Story or something like that, where the kid wanted a BB gun. But anyway, it was really good. Well, it's 80s, Sash. It's 80s.
Yay, cannot go wrong.
Can't go wrong with the 80s.
I'm interested. I mean, I love going to carol services, but I'm not sure if we're doing carol services this year. I know enclosed indoors singing is not ideal for virus transmission, but I'm big on Christmas music, and I can recommend a playlist. So we've got a local reverend here in Hamilton. He's a super cool guy. Father Frank, Brother Frank, Reverend Frank, whatever he calls himself these days. And he's put a Christmas playlist together of like contemporary Christmas songs, and it's beautiful.
Oh, that's cool. Joe's putting together a virtual choir. Which is really cool. Like they've done it amazing, because the production that actually needs to go into these choirs is next level. So they've got one guy, luckily, at their work who's just a diva when it comes to editing and production. So basically they record their audios, everyone's recording all their audios, it all gets mixed properly, it then comes back to them, they then sing their part again, video themselves, and then that gets matched, and then it gets all put together on the screen. So literally all these people are singing, and they've created this amazing choir sound, and that's going to be going live on Christmas Eve, which
that's going to be amazing.
Yeah. All right, that's it for this week on the Not So Breakfast Show. And debrief 2021. It wasn't all bad. Set some goals, set some focus, and let's rock into 2022 like there's no tomorrow. It's probably not the right way to say it.
There is no tomorrow. The world is ending. Global pandemic. The earth is on fire. But it's okay.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Go great.